Dude, I have several little bitty scars on my thumb that have kind of faded over the years.
Yeah.
I'm working in WCW TV tapings with that guy, a couple of 30-minute Broadways, some other matches that went over 20, many in the house shows. And back in the day, I used to throw a left-handed clothesline because that's the way I was taught. And I switched to the right. But man, I would catch him Barry right there with that thumb or that part of my hand in his grill, almost seemingly every match. And he was the most giving guy, and he could have always thrown a receipt. And he's also bigger than me and a tough veteran.
Sure.
But one of the smoothest guys in the world. And he never bitch, complain, moan, or nothing. And he'd be bleeding from the mouth right there. You can watch some of the stuff on TV.
Yeah.
And no, man, that guy was awesome.
Was it a ducking situation where you were throwing one that he was supposed to duck?
No, it was just me being a little errant and probably a little excited. And it's funny because we were doing a little sound check and you were getting your headphones turned up. And it's like back in the day, I don't hear very good to begin with. So I was calling matches at an early age. I might have been listening to Barry that night. And since I don't hear shit, I might have missed something. And so if I don't hear something, I'm going to closely you in the mouth.
Yeah, I did, right? But I mean, but when you're working with a guy that's a left-handed guy, and like you're doing a spot and you're trying to duck his clothesline, and you're used to a righty and he's throwing a left, man, you can have a malfunction at the junction real easy on that.
The worst malfunction at the junction is not getting clipped in the mouth. It's running on the wrong side of the arm that's throwing the clothesline. If he's throwing it this way and you drive by that way, it's like, I don't care how smart to your business, we know it's a work, but that was the shits.
That's when you hit the Benny Hill music.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, Mark.
And then back and forth in slow, fast motion real quick.
Yeah, episode 52, guys. 1 year, keeping it real. Good stuff.
God dang, I hate to bring this up. It's your show, but speaking of stuff like that, you ever watch that Botchamania?
Yeah.
I mean,
I love it.
I do too. A lot of people get, because I made a few of them. But god dang, it's so entertaining when you see people blow stuff in the ring, as long as nobody gets hurt.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I've seen some GIFs or whatever you call them, the GIFs. I don't even know what terminology.
GIF. I don't know either.
Hurricane Helms, Shane Helms will send them to me, and it'll be like a lot of stuff out of Japan, and just people doing these crazy bumps, and I'm thinking, oh my God, what were you thinking? But that Botchamania, I'll get on there and I'm like, holy smokes. I mean, because I love wrestling, and I love serious wrestling, but some of the stuff when people make, or it could be even promo, and they capture it all and point it all out, it's pretty good.
Like that one that Lex Luger did?
Oh, the two shirts are too tight one?
Boy, I mean, he's done many of them.
Yeah, but no, this is a classic.
Okay, you got to turn me on to that. I'll watch it.
Anyways, no, but I did a show with the comedian named Ron Bunches, and basically what we did is do like a Mystery Science Theater 3000 style show. Everybody sits there. But if they want to get high beforehand, they go smoke a little pot.
Right.
We all laugh and make fun of and so I had Matthew, we call him Matthew from Botchamania, make a compilation of my greatest botches.
Oh.
And so I started off by roasting myself because if you can't laugh at yourself, you shouldn't be laughing at everybody else's shit. But I loved it. I love Botchamania.
Well, I'm glad you said that because I was a big fan of Mystery Science 3000. But the fact that you're making fun of your own shit, because I like to see other stuff, but I just don't like to take shots at guys. Because I wasn't the most graceful guy in the ring, but if it was my stuff or like we're doing you or me together, that'd be great. But I just don't want to chop on anybody else. Now, that being said, going back to those old WCW TV tapes at center stage, god dang, you know the setup down there. All those little bitty dressing rooms, and there'd be a monitor this big, and black and white, if I remember, and there would be Arn Anderson, and Arn was over, and he was highly respected. And you talk about a roast. You talk about slice and dice, and he was really the only guy who could get away with it. Every now and then Lex Luger would take a shot at somebody, and everybody's thinking, F you talking about?
Right.
You ain't got no reason to talk. But if Arn blistered you, first of all, it's a compliment that he even gave enough of a damn to say anything about you, but he was the king of the locker room.
Why did Arn call Lex Eggplant?
Why did he call
I don't know.
I don't. You'd have to ask Arn. He come up with the damnedest. I don't know what do you call them.
Sayings, nicknames or sayings.
Arnisms. Let's call them Arnisms.
Yeah.
I don't know how he comes up with half shit he comes up with, but it's always gold.
And he had the great nicknames like that, like Chief, like Strongbow had nicknames. He had his, and his were even funnier, way funnier than Strongbow's.
Well, I remember one time I showed up at WCW. I was kind of mired in a mid-card type endeavor, push, whatever. They didn't really know what the hell to do with me. You know, who would have? When I look back at that old footage, stringy ass hair, sometimes I had some remnants of a beard or whatever I thought was cool at the time. I'll talk about transformations in a second.
Oh,
but I
man.
walked in, dude, I walked in a pair of loafers. Dude, me in loafers. Light blue jeans, I had a sports coat on and a pullover, nice, like an Izod shirt. Doing some nice shit for me, okay? Some of the best shit I ever had. And he looks at me as he shakes his head, and his nickname for me was Hog.
Yeah.
How he came up with Hog, I have no idea. And he goes, Hog, you dressing up is like trying to put mag wheels on a dump truck. You can put some badass Krager Super Sports on that dump truck, but at the end of the day, it's still just a dump truck.
Yeah.
I was like, boy, thanks a lot, Arn. Would you tell the brass that so they give me a push?
Jesus.
That's awesome.
You guys want to hop in here?
Yeah.
I don't want to bogart the whole thing.
So one of my favorite Austin moments is the segment where you beat up Booker T in the grocery store in Bakersfield. I wanted to know, what was your initial reaction when they first told you you were going to do that, and have you ever gone back to that grocery store?
That was a Green for All grocery store. I have people that email me that to this day because that was such a great segment. That store has since closed down and it's no longer in business. I think we only did like $10,000 worth of damage, which I thought we did a lot more than that, so that was pretty economical. But man, I remember going over with Book. I didn't want to do anything he didn't want to do because he's the guy taking the brunt of all the stuff, and 95% of it was on the fly ad lib. We went through the beats, saw what we could get away with, or things that wouldn't hurt him again. Because I mean, it was anything in a store, and man, he was cool with everything. And then I can't remember how price check on a jackass came out at the end, but there was just, man, it was cool. And me and Book, we got along as soon as he rolled into WCW way back in the day. Him and Stevie Ray, they were a pretty good tag team, and they were very physically impressive.
Oh, yeah.
And then Book, I think we were on an overseas trip, and a lot of people didn't know, but Book was ribbing the boys about half the time, and he goes, "Yeah, man, I'm one of the top 5 workers in the world."
Yes.
You remember that? But
Yeah,
that
yeah,
messed
yeah.
with a lot of guys' heads.
Oh, yeah,
So, and I was like, dude, I said, "You're too much." I said, "You're too much." And he'd always laugh, but he'd never smarten anybody up. So fast forward, many years later, we got into the WWF, and god dang, we was out there, and me and Book worked a lot together. And god dang, I laid my shit in, and so did he. And one time, I mean, he hit me, I swear to God, with everything he got. And boy, a lot of times I'm very patient on that receipt.
Yeah.
And he hit me so hard, boy, I shot that right hand out and just clocked him. But here's the thing, my right arm does not extend all the way past this point because of all the calcium in that joint. And we got to the end of the match. I said, "God dang it!" I said, "Boy, if my right arm would have straightened out, I'd have knocked your ass out." And I said, "I'll tell you what, Book, if you and me ever get in a fight, I know I can whip your ass because you hit me as hard as you can, and it didn't knock me out." So, me and Book had a lot of good memories.
Yeah, and he came to, it's like, you went through Dallas and then to WCW, and he and Lash, his brother, Stevie Ray, did the same thing. I had the honor of being able to work in Dallas, and the Sportatorium is no longer there. But any like memory, like I don't mean for this to be such a generic question, but it's just man, the Sportatorium. The ring, man, the ring. That's the hardest ring I've ever been in the continental United States.
Boy, that son was rough. I remember I rolled into Chris Adams Wrestling School, and we started doing tumbling drills and learned how to take a flat back bump. And it's always funny because when I hosted Tough Enough years ago, and like Miss America came out there, and man, she took that first bump, and you could see the look on her eyes, and like, holy shit, this is a little bit harder than I thought it was going to be. You either like to take a bump or you don't like to take a bump. And I like taking bumps, and for most people, 90%, they dig it and they get along with it. But to your point, that ring was hard as hell, and it was on a wooden floor. It might as well have been concrete, because I remember someone shit canned me out of the ring one time on a 6-man tag. It was me, Jeff Gaylord, and somebody else. I think I forget the guy who was our partner. Anyway, they threw me outside. I missed the rope. anytime you get thrown out of the ring, you're trying to grab something. First, second, third rope, whatever. Whether it's an
And
elbow
it's easy
or a
to
wrist.
miss that rope because it's so low,
Right.
the top rope in that ring.
So I missed that thing and ended up, if that's the apron, down there, and I hit my chin on that pipe.
Yeah.
And boy, I came up and I had a gash from here to here. You can't see it because my goatee's covering it up all the way to the bone. And first thing comes to you, Gaylord, I think, is still in prison for something.
Something, yeah.
He goes, God dang. He goes, show it to the camera. I got long blonde hair, dumber than a boxer rocks, green as grass.
Yeah.
And here I got this big ass scar. But that Sportatorium, the ring was hard. That night I worked in Cleveland, Texas. I got stitched up 60 stitches and drove to Cleveland for a spot show. But the Sportatorium was a great building. George Jones played there, Elvis played there. Every legend that was in the performing business played there. And when you walked into that building, you smelled of beer, piss, hot dogs, and sweat. And then you got in that ring, you got that blood. And you know how those lights, Sean, when they get on that canvas, just the smell that comes out of there. Every ring kind of feels a little bit different. It has its own feel, but all of the mats smell the same. And that is one of the things someone asked me just on my podcast the other day. I did a Q&A, and that's one of the things that I miss the most about the business. You miss the boys, you miss the adrenaline rush, you miss the crowd, you miss the paychecks, but the smell of that ring, the smell of that mat is just that's near and dear to my heart.
Do you miss the blistering heat that went along with it and trying to catch a breath?
Dude, you remember? Did you ever work some of those outdoor shows when we were in Bakersfield and Palmdale?
Yeah, or Rancho Cucamonga in the outdoor baseball stadium and all that. Yeah,
it's so hot you can't even get on the ground for a 3 count.
Yeah,
it's like, dude, I'll do the favors for anybody, but I can't get a 3rd degree burn
No,
in the
right?
process. Got 3 count. Like you always hate the quick count. I'm like, hey, quick count this son of a bitch. Just get it over.
We were one of those outdoor stadiums in my first run, my first tour, like house show tour, when I got my eyebrows shaved, all that. Anyways, one of them was Rancho Cucamonga, and Jack Lanza was the agent, and he had the shoe polish was bubbling on the top of his head, man. Like legit. It was great. It was running down the side and everything. Bless Jack Lanza's heart.
Well, speaking of Jack Lanza, because Minnesota, I called him last deer season to check in on him, and we talked for about an hour. And I know he was very important to you. He helped me out so much. He was one of those old school guys that took an interest in me, and he was kind of my go-to agent back in the day. So Lanza was classic, and dude, you talking about one of the boys.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, through and through.
As an agent, even.
Yeah,
he was one of the boys. Yeah. If you had a good story when you showed up late, you were all right. You weren't getting fined. It could be any number of stories on.
As long as it's good.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Well, before we started, we were talking about Lucha Underground. I was wondering how you feel about Willie Mack using the stunner.
Man, I think he does a good job with it. And I've been wanting to have him on a podcast. Did you talk to him?
Yeah, I've known Willie since he was in high school.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And so y'all have history. No, I think it's great. I think he's a damn good worker to begin with. And so anybody's just using it and doing it like he is and put some stank on it and make it look good.
Stank.
I dig it. So someone asked me that question the other day. I was doing some promos for Broken Skull Challenge, and they said, "Hey man, when someone borrows someone else's finish, what is the protocol? Do you throw down a phone call? I mean, those guys from Bullet Club back in the day, I think they actually called Nash and say, hey man, do you mind if we do some of the shit you guys were doing? And I said, no, man.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, knock yourselves out.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it, actually. It makes me feel good that they're getting over huge and they're doing that.
Yeah, but when they throw you a little respect and give you a shout out or a call or something like that, that's cool. But I ain't got no problem with it at all, man. I think it's badass.
Well, when you watch Lucha Underground and you see Marty the Moth, you see Eva Lise, you see M-Dog, do you feel the wrong person won Tough Enough in 2011?
No, not at all. Based on what was going on right then, right there. Because remember, I had to take Marty Moss's belt because his ankle gave out on him, so he had to go riding off in the sunset. Matt, he really wasn't doing what he did. I love him as God dang, what's his character in Lucha Underground?
Son of Havoc.
Son of Havoc.
Oh,
I
Matt
love
Cross.
what he's doing now. Yeah. He does get this badass shit.
Yeah.
But man, he was really holding back, and it's like, dude, man, you can't play it safe. Safe ain't gonna get you shit nowhere. I remember like it was yesterday. So no, man, the right guy won at that time, and that's subjective. Everybody has their own opinion. so I'll stick to the guy that I picked. But it turns out he couldn't make it. And here to go further than that, I'm real proud of all those guys and Evilise, who I told her, I said, you belong in this business, and she absolutely does. Look at what she's doing in Lucha Underground. So I'm proud of the success all those people have had. And I told them then at Tough Enough, I said, hey man, they're calling this show Tough Enough, but you're going to really find out how tough is once you try to get in to the business of pro wrestling, because that's when it's really tough.
You know, I was thinking about American Idol when you're talking about that, and like, okay, the winner of American Idol is usually the person I think should win it, but they're not the person. A lot of times it ends up being the most successful.
Right.
They don't have the biggest run after the show.
But you can get an opportunity out of it.
Yeah.
And it's everybody got an opportunity out of it, and some of them made most of it, and some of them didn't. I'm just happy that some of them are still making. You know, I'm glad there's companies like Lucha Underground out there. All the companies.
Yeah.
I wish WWE wasn't the only place. It's still the big leagues. It always was.
Yeah.
It was a place that you and I knew that we must get to. You know, for the biggest run.
Yeah.
And you can go back to WCW and well, like Hall and Nash did, and you know, to get
I did.
that guaranteed money.
Yeah.
Shit. I mean, that was awesome. But now in today's landscape. And don't get me wrong, there's guys I know. You know, Young Bucks are doing real good. A lot of guys going back and forth to Japan.
Cody Rhodes is doing pretty good.
Damn right he is.
Yeah.
And you gotta respect people like that who say, "Hey man, I'm gonna go do my shit elsewhere and see how the lay of the land is and thrive, and not only thrive, not only survive, but to thrive."
Yeah, and look, man, there's a certain amount of fear that goes into making a decision like that. I mean,
You're damn right. You got your monthly nut every damn month.
And most people, their monthly nut goes up quite a bit once they've been working there a while.
Right.
No matter what they say.
Right.
I mean, there's your Steve Blackmans out there that kept his bills to $800 a month, as he's who knows how much he was making. I talked to Steve Blackman the other day.
How's he doing?
Oh, good, man.
I guarantee. I bet he looks exactly the same.
He
Jacked
does.
up and dangerous.
He does.
Yeah.
And did you see the Bounty Hunter show? Did you see any of that? The trailer, you gotta watch it. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. I wish I had
I'll
it.
send you the link.
Is it a movie?
No, he was
it's
trying to shop a
reality
show around.
Oh,
and I
okay.
still think he should, because he's hilarious, Steve.
Really?
Yeah, he's so dry, man. And
He's very dry.
Yeah. I can understand why you might not know he's a
I thought you
funny
were talking
guy.
about John Morrison because he did the movie Boone the Bounty Hunter.
That was great. Did you
It
see
was,
that?
yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
I think Johnny Mundo has a future, and that level. If he can graduate to
That's
another
right.
level, more power to him. But
Yeah.
it was kind of campy, but it was really fun.
Exactly.
And he didn't take himself too seriously.
Yep.
And there was those great heroic moments in it. And the thing about that movie was it actually had a heart to it.
Yeah.
And then he was doing really good, and they got some heat on him, and he had to fire up the
Yep.
comeback. Dude, it was a good story.
Yeah.
Shout out to Johnny Mundo.
Absolutely. We had him on the show right before the movie. You had him on too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and man, he was a great guest. We talked a lot about movie fights and things like that. But man, so I mean, he put a ton into that, and you know,
He sold his house.
bet the house legit, literally. So yeah,
Gotta give him
man.
credit for that.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so in the Broken Skull challenge, you have like a lot of my friends have actually been on the show, and crossfitters, lingerie football players. Is there anybody that you've seen on the show where you're like, maybe you should try like wrestling, or this might be a good fit for you?